Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patton. It's a pleasure to welcome you back as we now look toward Labor Day and the fall season's on the horizon. And frankly, I like autumn. I don't know about you, Paul, but I love autumn.
I love it. Favorite time of the year.
Not as we get toward December, but
no.
Right, October, September, it's beautiful, I think, it can be.
And I'm not crazy about it getting dark earlier and earlier, but the crisp, comfortable days just make you feel alive and vital, and sort of the way I feel every time I come on your show.
Oh, well, thank you, Paul. As you can see, my special guest is Paul Brogan, and how's things going with I love that book. I've been reading it. I read it and read it and read it. I still find more things that I missed the first time, but. How is the new Concord Theater looking good? Is it opening? I mean, people getting in there? The concert's doing okay?
I believe so. I've not been to one of them yet. But in the fall, I'll probably start after the grand opening. The official opening will be in October.
Oh,
they had a soft opening. It was a soft opening, and they're doing events on weekends.
Yeah.
Different types of concerts. They have an 80s music thing coming up, and some of those things. I understand it's doing very, very well. It seems they've got the neon lights on all the time.
Oh, yes,
I mean, it really looks spectacular.
Oh, I know.
And they finished a lot of what they were doing inside. The original Art Deco lights have been installed in the corridor. The old box office has been used as part of the decor. The restaurant is open and the bar upstairs. So I understand from people that have gone to events there that it's been really terrific. So happy to hear that.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's been your baby for so many years. I mean, you've seen it go down. Luckily they didn't tear it down. They restored it,
I mean, it's sat empty for 25 years.
I know.
And normally, when something sits empty for that long, you think, oh, the wrecking ball is going to be here, and that's the end of it.
I know.
And I think they were very fortunate that the Capitol Center was already in place as far as having successfully restored the Capitol Theater, where we went as kids to see all the Disney films and everything. And that they were established enough that with the assistance of Steve Dupree, they were able to take this on. And because they'd shown for 2 decades what they can do at the Capitol Center, I think people were willing to take a risk to either donate money or to, help with grants and, other funding sources. And of course, Bank of New Hampshire stepped in with a,
no stage name.
Yes. But at least they kept the tile where it says Concord Theater, and it still says Concord, on the sign. And so anybody who remembers it, which is more and more, I mean, less and less as the years go by, because when something's been closed for 25 years, I find myself talking to somebody and saying, oh yeah, I worked at the Concord Theater. The what? Where's that? Because, they're new to town or something. So
they don't realize. When I met with In-Town Concord about the parade and the tree light, actually called the tree lighting, but I mean, they had no idea about what Main Street would look like.
No.
And I told them, I said, unfortunately, I can't shop there. They don't have my sizes. And my pocketbook is not as flush as it could be. But I said the days of when it was Penny's and Woolworths and
Sears, Varsity Shop,
Newberry's, Kresge's, Grant's and all that, it's gone.
It's gone.
And Main Street, unfortunately, is mostly banks, law offices, and
cafes and little restaurants.
Oh my gosh, restaurants. And, yes, there is CVS down there, Joe King's shoe shop, and Spears' Cars.
And Gondwanda continues to do well with their
Viking House.
Yes.
But still, for the average person who doesn't make a lot, there's not much they can shop.
No.
I still think a nice dollar store would be nice. Oh, they don't like that. Well, you got people who are retired who don't make a lot of money, who live in Pittman Street apartments or the Kennedy apartments or whatever. They would love to go to a place like that without having to hire a taxi or a bus to get down to, by Shaw's down that area. But I know. But
No, it's true. And one of the things in my book that I talk about is Friday nights in Concord.
oh
I
yeah,
talk about
yes.
what an incredible community experience. I don't think there was any comparison as to a way to bring people downtown. Is Friday evening at 6 o'clock, suddenly it was bumper to bumper
Oh, yeah,
traffic,
yeah.
thousands of people in all the stores,
Yeah.
and there was there was the same kind of feeling that the old-fashioned bargain days or the summer event that they have,
Yeah.
but it was every Friday night you had
Oh
that.
yeah, Friday night
And-
was Concord, Thursday night was Manchester.
And across the street at Sears, from the
Yeah.
Concord Theater, they
Yeah.
put extra staff on to
Oh,
handle the
yeah,
crowds.
yeah.
And I know sometimes when I would be arriving there to start work in the evening, you'd see 50, 60 people piling into Sears and Scott's Jewelers
Yeah,
and
Western
you
Auto
know
is over there.
Hoos's and all
Oh
the
yes, Hoos's, Western Auto.
businesses.
Yeah.
Aussie Weight, Army and Navy store.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You know, all of the Haggett's, they were all busy. Tom Ray Office Supplies.
Of course, First National was was there,
Yes.
where the
Yeah.
Concord Co-op is.
Yes. Yes.
Then they moved down to their big building, and Super Duper went in there for
Yep.
a couple of years.
A couple of years, and then Haggett's after that,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
And because Haggett's used to allow, except on Friday nights, they had an unwritten deal with the Concord Theater that any patrons could park in there,
Yep.
except on Friday when they had
Sure.
busy night, and so that made it nice for people who wanted to come downtown.
Oh yeah.
But it was a frenzy of activity, and that's why when you hear people talk about, oh, it was a city in a coma, maybe after the mall opened
Yeah.
and we lost some of our big in the early 90s,
Yeah.
but before that it was far
Oh.
busier than you could ever imagine.
My grandparents used to love to get out and sit in the car when my folks went to pay bills or whatever, and they would see people they knew, and they'd come over the car and talk to them. They just loved to see the people. And you had the police officers had different
Yes.
intersections.
Yes.
You know, none of this. They were right out there, boy, doing traffic.
Oh, they were, and just doing the beat.
Yep.
I also write in there about Bill Barnard was the officer
Yeah.
every night
Oh,
who
yeah.
came in at 7:45.
Yep.
He walked up the lobby, he went inside to make sure there were no disturbances, nothing
Yep.
going on, and you just felt a sense of security as
Yep.
to somebody was looking out for the community.
And Star Hot Dog up there on Pleasant Street.
Mhm.
You know, it was just, and Nolt's Pharmacy was
Yes,
there.
yes.
You know.
And Finaris Pharmacy was downtown, and Corner Pharmacy,
Yes.
and
got that big.
McKinsey's Ice Cream.
What was the one that was in? I know it was the record place that's vacant on that building on Pleasant Street.
That was Super X.
That's
Was the name of that.
okay.
Mr. Lilios
Yes.
owned it,
Yeah.
but somebody else ran it for him.
Yeah,
It's called Super X.
That's what
And
it was.
they didn't have a pharmacist, but they had all of the other things
Yeah,
that you would
yeah,
get in a pharmacy. And that was really before CVS had opened,
Yeah.
because that
Oh,
was
yeah.
still Newberry's.
Yeah.
So Super X was where you could buy your toiletries and things
And
without paying a pharmacy price.
then Diversities.
Yes, diversity. Frankie Transistor, who was a guest on your show not too long ago.
Yeah, he goes to church. You sometimes on
Yes.
4:30 Mass there. And oh yeah, I'll never forget that name. I didn't know that, but I used to. That's what they called him. Frankie.
They did.
Frankie Transistor.
And he was there every night when I'd walk into Diversity's on my way to the theater or something.
Nice to have 3 size.
Oh, yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, Capsipia, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, your producer is
Yes,
sending
I
us
know. He's
a
giving
message.
He's giving us messages.
But and what he acknowledged was it's nice to have in Concord the arts and the different sizes of the theaters that you can
Yeah.
handle just about any kind of event. I mean, you've got 1,200 seats at the Capitol Center, then you have 900 almost at the City Auditorium,
Yeah.
then you have 2 auditoriums, about 150, 175 as part of Red River, then a meeting room that's
Yeah.
smaller, the screening room, and then you've got the Concord Theater, former Concord Theater Bank of New Hampshire stage that can seat up to about 300 or so in the seats.
Yeah.
It's for a city of our size. I mean, practically any event can be brought to town, pretty much.
Is the city auditorium in use as much nowadays?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, yes.
Can you know how much
It
about
seems to me that last year they talked about they had more than 200 days of use, and they usually don't do much of anything in the summer months. So in the period pretty much from September through June, 200 events is quite a bit. I mean, the community players do 4 productions usually there, and then you've got the Symphony New Hampshire that comes in,
Concord
half a dozen dance recitals. Then you've got the Walker Lecture series, community concerts. This is their week that while we're taping this, where they're doing the cleanup for the year. They usually get a huge group of volunteers that come in and polish everything and dust and clean and paint. So I think the City Auditorium, because it's so affordable in comparison, and they have expanded their sound system now and their ticket ability to buy tickets online as opposed to having to go in, and their lighting and everything else. I think that they're still used as much as they were. And the Capitol Center, I think they must have 250 or more events a year. And
I know, yes. They've got like a full schedule coming
they do.
up, boy.
They really do. You've never been to Red River, have you?
No, I've never
You've got to
been.
go sometime.
Well, I don't know the movies that are there, and I just don't go out much anymore, but...
Sometimes they have the sing-along things. They have the Sound of Music, Grease, and things like... It's really stadium seating, wonderfully comfortable seats, and it's, you know, the same price as the Regal, except the seating is better. And, you know, they have popcorn or wine, beer, sandwiches, these amazing chocolate chip cookies. They tell me have no calories in them, and they're enough to feed 7 or 8 people. I hope Red River appreciates the plug.
I know that.
But anyway.
But no, it's you know, Concord was the place to be on a Friday night.
It was.
Now, I mean, I don't know. You see, there's some more empty storefronts down there. I noticed that the other day. I didn't.
Well, Kresge's is empty now. The former Kresge. It'll always be Kresge's.
I know, it always will be Kresge's.
It was what, Fletcher Paints after Kresge's moved out. That was Fletcher's for a while. And then something else moved. But they still have that color, the sort of orangish tile that was the Kresge's, you know, look, the tile.
Where was Denroy Shoes? They were in that area.
I think they were in there too,
Yeah,
after Fletcher.
Yeah,
Fletcher's moved in late 60s or early 70s. And then, yes, there was the shoe, and there were a couple of other things in there through the years. But,
the Bell Shop was next to the door there.
And then you had Card Gallery and Caffeinio. And
that
Brown Saltmarsh?
No, that was down there too. There was a record place, electronics, Radio Shack.
Oh, Radio Shack, that's right.
They were there
for a while.
And then they left. But I know, Main Street has changed a lot.
But the retail has, and maybe in today's society when everybody goes on their computer and orders something, and of course younger people today who do that don't understand how much value we placed on customer service years ago.
I know.
When you'd walk into Buster Brown Shoes, they knew you, and they checked your shoe, you know, your foot size. And I remember as a kid, they'd say, ooh, they kept records, and they'd say, your foot's grown since last year.
Well, that's like the youth center. With Mr. Silverman. Yes, and then his son Don, had the junior dev shop, and he was also took over the youth center, but then his other brother, Louis Silverman, had the varsity shop.
Yes.
I don't know where they are now, but, you know,
they passed, okay, his granddaughter is the actress, Sarah Silverman.
Oh,
that's she's talked about, as she was in the Community Players production of Annie that they did about 35 years ago. Alwyn Fine directed. 35.
The theater was missed by a generation. It's true, by a generation.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
But yes, Sarah Silverman was in the Community Players production in the early 80s. She played, I think she might have played Annie. Alwyn Fine, whose husband ran, Eddie Fine, directed it. And she sent a message this past year, because they did Annie again, about her memories of being here and her grandparents' store and all of that. So,
My mother had a clothing club in there.
Yes. Well, they're the ones, our uniforms for Brady. You got them through the Silvermans because they got a good deal on the blazers and the things that we had to wear.
They had Girl Scout brownie uniforms there and everything else. Yeah,
And then there was Rosen's.
And
then of course
David Heller.
Yes. And Hardy McSwiney was right there.
McSwiney.
And then of course the Puritan later talk of the town. With their beautiful neon sign. That was such a nice.
Dr. Harry Vocal was on the corner of Warren Street there and North Main.
Yeah, and
there used to be a barber shop in there too, wasn't there?
Was there?
It was on Warren Street, more toward
the police station, or
no, before the police station. It was and you could see the back of it, and inside was all. Chairs.
Yes, I do recall.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yes.
Yeah, they were there.
And then you had Fanny Farmer across the street.
What happened to that?
Fanny Farmer, I think, went out of business.
Really?
And they closed them. They were wonderful. They had great. The girl that worked in there, for some reason, liked me and would always give me samples before I bought my weekly pound of fudge. And she'd say, well, here's this one, you try this and this and this before making a decision. She said, you need to make the right decision. So I'd have all these pieces of fudge for free, and then I would order my pound of fudge, because it was about $1.30 for a pound or something.
Were you the mysterious gourmet in the Union Leader?
Yes. But and of course Bookland was down there for many years. And Apple Tree was on Warren Street.
Yes, they were there.
And Gibson's was in the shopping center by Stop and Shop.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I mean, we were able to support 3 bookstores.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
I don't know, it's so sad now to see a lot of that stuff. And you talk about that, and it's like, oh, well, you're back, we never heard of that stuff.
No.
Tonkin Fraser was another shoe store over there by Penny's.
Yes.
And that's when Denway started there.
Yes.
And they moved across the street.
Right, to the old Kresge.
And then there was that little gift shop beside Denroy, I can't think. Because Lee Owens' wife, Monique owned it along with my cousin's wife. Leona, oh boy, she lived on the Heights with her husband. But then they sold out, closed it.
And Cardvar closed. Yeah. That was a nice place.
Yep.
And
I mean, it's just,
yes.
They wonder where the people are. But I mean, noontime in the summertime, yes, they got all these little umbrellas out there, little tables, and eating there. But I don't know, it's just different. And like I said, Main Street is just not like it used to be.
No.
I mean, Merrimack County Savings Bank is still there.
Yes.
And there was another bank.
And they expanded after the Chamber of Commerce moved out, because that was right on the corner of their building. On the corner of School and was the Chamber. When I was a youngster, during Concord's 1965 bicentennial, the Chamber was still located there. And which was a nice spot right there in the midst of everything.
Of course.
And I used to go in there to get the new flyer, because every year they would have a new nice brochure on the city of Concord, and I collected them because I thought they were so pretty. But
can you imagine now school starting in 2 weeks, so the buses will be back out there? And now, did you go to Catholic schools when you were a kid?
Yes, St. Peter's School.
St. Peter's.
Yes.
So did you have to wear a uniform there? No?
Not there, but you had to wear a white shirt and black pants, but it could be black corduroy or black. You know, it wasn't a uniform per se and a bow tie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a uniform like we had to wear in high school.
Yeah.
And yes, there were 4 classrooms, 8 grades, 2 grades per classroom, about 75 people in a classroom between the 2 grades. And one side was 3rd grade, one side was 4th. And so sister would teach you over here, and then she'd give you busy work to do while she went over here and taught them.
That's how you do it.
And if you finished your busy work, you could eavesdrop on what you were going to learn the next year. So when you got into 4th grade, you already had a head start as to what was going on. It worked, though. It taught you how to concentrate and to not be distracted when you were doing your busy work.
And that was the big red building on Walker Street. Right?
Yes, it's Association for the Blind. Yes,
okay,
yes, or what they're called now. They have a different name right now, but yes, that's the building. And that because the other part was the original St. Peter's Church before the one on North State, and that was where we went.
It's so sad to see that gone. All it's just a cell hole.
Yes. Yes, it really is.
I had dinner the other night with Father Mason because he was supposed to be subbing here in Immaculate Heart, but somehow they had a mix-up and had 2 priests there. But he and I still went out to dinner. He just let the other one do it. But we were talking about the changes like Sacred Heart. You know, and that's, I don't care, it still looks like a church.
Of course it does. Of course it does. Yes.
Anything that looked like a church, that one did. But he said, well, you gotta remember the French population, they kind of diminished. So. But, and then of course St. Peter's, and that's gone. It's like, God.
I just think, what happens if there's a day when there's a turnaround and people start to refine their faith and to return to church and all of that? There's not going to be enough places for them to go. I mean, they're adding on to St. John's now, but right now they're saying Mass in a tent.
Yes.
My mother hates that because it's so hot out there, and at 95, if it's not a comfortable day, she said it's 200 in that tent.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was told that, well, they've got air conditioning in there, and it's nice. I said, well, I can't believe for the days in the 90s.
No.
And
how can you really adequately air condition a tent? It's not solid walls. They can put that out there. Maybe they call air conditioning a big fan, moving the hot air around.
We drew a few from over there, from Immaculate, and most of them have gone up to Immaculate Conception. Up there I found out. So.
And some have gone even down to Suncook, to St. Jane the Baptist, because but I mean, when you look at the number of people, when I was growing up, there were over 1,000 children in Catholic schools in Concord, between St. Peter's School, Sacred Heart had a school, and morning was in French, I think, in the afternoon in English, St. John's School, and then the St. John's School on Pleasant Street, where there's a granite insurance building. That was the junior high.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
That was, I remember being in there for different things. So between all of those, there were approximately 1,000 children in parochial education, and each church was doing very, very, very well too. I mean, people were very deep into their faith at that time, and I think some of it may evolve and come back. I mean, I've never made a secret of they should let women become priests, and they need to start looking at some of those things if they're going to continue. But that was a nice musical outburst. I thought you were going to get up and sing.
Well, that's the Michigan Fight song.
Give me some pom-poms and I'll do a little routine.
I know. So. Can you imagine, like, the band's out there now rehearsing?
Yeah.
I mean,
or the football teams are out there in the field.
No, Concord High.
It has to be terrible.
Oh,
it really
imagine
is.
that.
I think we should tip our hats to your producer.
I've been saying that about him because he's directing over there, but I worry about him.
Yes, he's recovering from major surgery,
yes, he is.
and yet he's here smiling and laughing and cheering us on.
He's working on the Christmas parade,
yes,
getting that
yes.
organized, and so
he's amazing.
Oh yeah, lucky we got him.
We are very fortunate.
We went down, met with the police department, and got the parade lieutenant over there.
Great.
Still can't come back up here, so
because
the apartment complexes complained. Alton Woods and Salisbury
One thing a year?
I know, that's what we said. One morning actually.
Yes.
But they in Woodcrest Heights and Alton Woods and Salisbury Green.
Oh.
You know, this church
yes.
in Windmill really lost big time last year with their fair here. Because the people would come up here and come in afterwards, and now the sign up here says Dairy Queen is reopening October 1st.
It is?
Yep, it is. There's a number on there. And
is it truly going to, do you think?
Well, there's a phone number now on there saying they're hiring, call this number.
They would have done great during these heat waves.
I know.
I thought of a blizzard, both a blizzard weather-wise and a blizzard at Dairy Queen.
I don't know what happened there. I mean,
no, it was very strange
it was strange.
Right before the season started, too. So, well, as much as we know about the area, I guess we're not privy to everything.
The mall still has a new manager.
Yes.
And
the lady you used to know
she's gone. She's gone. And I talked to the guy the other day, just curiosity. I said, "Where was this big store coming in that you were never so bubbling over about in the monitor?" He didn't know about it. He said, "Well, it takes a while to get him in here, so I don't know."
I went by the other day and I could swear that both Penny's and Sears were closed in the middle of the day because there were no cars. There was and you know, to those of us who remember Sears and Penny's as places, destination stops, I mean, it's just
just
sad.
Closed there, Sears. And this one here, I'm sure will close next year.
Yes,
the lease is up.
It is. So, I think we're getting signaled that we've talked enough.
Well, hey, it's always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I love being here.
I love to reminisce with you, and you and I have maybe coordinated on a book or something, but together in history. But with that in mind, thank you to Brian again for being director over there and his shoulder injury, and thank you to Paul for coming on again. And
thank you for having me.
Anytime. So have a great day, enjoy what's left of the summer, and we'll see you all soon on Around Town. I'm your host, Dick Patton.